Everybody, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm Matt Connarton, and of course, once again, sporting the snazzy green tie, showing off his Irish, is the honorable...
Hey, Matty, how you doing there, boy?
The Honorable Gary S. Hopper. I'm all right.
Top of the morning to you.
I wish I could do that. I wish I could talk in an accent. I'm Irish, but I can't.
So I said this on the show a few weeks ago. We were talking. Pam was asking me about my hair, or saying something, commenting on my hair, because I told you I had it colored, right?
Yes, you didn't introduce us yet,
Wait, Pam, did I tell you I had my hair colored?
No, I didn't know you did.
Yeah, it's called 50 Shades of Grey.
Har, har.
He really likes that joke. He's trying to get as much as he can.
How many times have you heard that one, Matt?
He's milking it. That was the fourth. Yes, I'm keeping track.
Oh, man, that hurts. Pam Tucker is our guest this evening. A guest this evening. And Amanda Bouldin is not here.
Not here.
Yes.
Okay. Are we just not supposed to tell people you were on the show?
A lot of people are embarrassed about
How
that.
can you forget Amanda?
The entire country
She's
of
awesome.
Malaysia is going to know.
She is awesome.
She's a new freshman rep in the house, and she is awesome.
She
even wins awards, I hear.
And by the way, she's one of the few Democrats who's been on this show, because you have a hard time getting Democrats to come on.
No, actually, I don't.
They fear you. It's okay. You can admit it.
I had Jeff Goley on.
No, I know, but typically.
And actually, you know who's on next week?
Very few. Who?
Pat Long.
Oh, okay.
Good.
All right, good.
See?
Some good guys.
They are good guys.
You've turned the tide.
I like Pat. He's really nice.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't like the way he votes, but I like him.
I don't know enough about you yet to be afraid, so
it's pretty. I'm pretty scary. So anyway, I have ladies on. I kind of wanted to ask kind of a personal question.
You can ask. We might not answer.
And it's well, you know, Pam, I've gone through a lot of physical stuff in the last year. I've had the radiation treatments and the motorcycle accident. Then I had a carotid artery surgery, and I'm having a little problem with performing, if you know what I'm saying.
You mean like song and dance on stage?
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
That's what I meant. Yeah, it's like I can't juggle.
Really? Could you juggle before?
No, but I still can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's never too late to learn.
It isn't.
Well, it may be. I don't know. How long does it take?
I don't know. I've never done it. But I know that my shoulder's messed up and I couldn't do it anyway.
You can't rotate your cuff, right?
I can rotate it, but not too well.
Gotcha.
I'm better at rotating my cuff now.
Maybe some oil it up?
No, I got to put a grease fitting on it.
Ah, right. I don't know what that is, but I'm not very handy.
Right. Anyway, what do you guys want to talk about?
It sounds like the Tin Man.
That's what that sound is. Oh, we did.
Yeah, that's what that is. What did you get an award for?
2015 Champion in Action.
2015 Champion in Action. That sounds like a hurdle. You were doing hurdles or
not for athletics.
No.
Nope. I don't even use the stairs of the State House.
Kind of.
No.
Don't go there.
I have a picture of the award on my phone. My phone's not with me. So I think that it said for my legislative efforts to reduce drug overdoses in New Hampshire.
Oh! Why? Because you were you one of the sponsors of the bills for the.
My two bills are the HB 271 is the Narcan bill.
Okay,
Narcan is a brand name for a medication called naloxone, and it reverses an opiate-induced overdose. So
I think Jeff Goley was talking about that. He said because he's one of the firemen in town.
Yeah.
He says it's kind of miraculous how they just.
It is, yeah. You go from dying to not dying. Like
yes, that's a
one
good
nasal spray. Yeah, pretty extreme.
It's a nasal spray?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also available as a needle, and it's really cool. The needle that you can buy talks to you, and this is usually what EMTs buy.
It does what?
It talks to you, so it's like battery operated, and it speaks and
so
it walks
you
you through
super
every
freaking high
single
and you're
step.
talking to a needle.
No, when people need it, they're unconscious.
Just guessing.
Sounds like a Saturday night.
You can't.
I know.
You can't self-administer it. You're usually unconscious, but it helps the people who are administering it put it in. So.
Okay, so people who might not be quite experienced enough to do it
you can know
or haven't done it
nothing
before.
and save someone's life. Yeah.
And talk to the needle.
Yeah.
Okay, so and what was the other bill?
911 immunity, which is also referred to as Good Samaritan.
Did that pass the House?
They both passed the House.
Oh, now they're both in the Senate. Okay.
Yep.
Did that go to my committee? I don't even remember. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think one year it came to our committee, but not this year.
Your criminal justice?
No, I'm on judiciary.
It went to judiciary last year and the year before, but not this year. It went to criminal justice, and the Narcan went to Health and Human Services.
Okay, that's why I didn't remember it as well as I did last year.
It was
I think
really
your buddy Jen Coffey was pushing one of those. I don't know which.
The 911 immunity.
The 911 immunity.
We've seen that before.
Yeah, a few
I wonder
times.
if it dies over in the Senate. That's why we have
Everything
to keep
dies in the Senate.
That's where good bills go to die.
It is interesting. I've noticed that, like, bills that seem to do very well in the House, that have overwhelming support will go to the Senate and die. It's remarkable.
Well, it's interesting. It's hard to lobby 400 legislators, but it's real easy if you're a special interest group or a lobbyist to go over and lobby 13 senators.
Well, the thing too is I was just on Norman Friends, and he was asking me why I didn't run for Senate. And I said, I actually did try to get interest. Do you remember who the senator we had was in my district? I've forgotten the guy's name, but he's pretty darn liberal.
Oh, I thought you were under D'Alessandro's.
No. Anyway, he's really liberal, and I really wanted to get rid of him. And I offered to run because after the redistricting, Ware was actually the largest town in his new district, and there was a third or a half of his district was brand new. Okay, so there was an opportunity to bump him. And so I offered to all the people that I could think of that had money to do something like that.
Odell,
yeah.
How quickly we forget.
Yes.
Out of sight, out of mind, right, Gary?
Anyway, I offered, and nobody would come up with money, and I don't have the money. But the thing is, for senator, it costs $50,000 minimum just to get in.
It does, and that's why when you have, it's easy to lobby 13 because especially if you're dangling, and I'm not saying anyone's bought here, but it's easy to dangle money and say, here, I can help you with your reelection if you help me on this bill.
Right.
And we know how that's how it works in Washington.
And it's not even just that. It's like if a group comes out against Narcan, let's say I don't know who.
Pro-death coalition.
The pro-death coalition.
Everyone should die.
But let's say a group like the Policemen's Association comes out against something. Okay, well that's a lot of votes, and so that senator's got to say, okay, well that's a big district. I got all these people who probably will vote against me if I vote against or vote for Bill A, B, C, or D.
Sure.
So they're a lot more vulnerable.
Right, and if it comes to them, because it like you just said that, it's a certain amount of group, and it obviously means a lot to that group of people.
Right.
That it's going to affect them. So
it's not all money, but it's all about getting back in.
Well, thankfully, it's not all about money in New Hampshire.
Well, the thing is, as a state legislator, you really aren't victimized by that as much.
Not at all.
Because they don't have enough resources to attack every legislator that votes against them.
Well, not only that, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because it doesn't cost a lot for us to run.
Right.
I mean, some people spend $0. Some people have to spend more than that, depending upon the size of the district. But it doesn't make sense to try and target 201 seats versus targeting 13 seats.
Yeah, I know. I had to spend $297 to get my seat. But yeah.
Gosh, I might have to buy you dinner. You might be broke.
Okay, I'm good with that. So anyway, what was the group that gave you this award for being awesome?
The Stratford County something. I forgot. It's called One Voice, and it's a kind of a statewide group of people that have gotten together to really focus their efforts on the heroin problem in the state. They're made up of people like drug counselors, concerned family members, recovering addicts.
We're gonna actually that's what we're talking about on the show next week, is about drugs. And one of the recurring questions I ask people, and I've never really gotten a really good answer on, is what program works. You have all these people coming to the state saying, oh, we need money for Farnham Center, we need money for this center, for this center, for this center. But none of them can tell us what their success rate is. None of them can say that if you enter program A, within 12 months, 70% of the people are still not drinking or doing drugs. They won't give you a number. Or maybe they can, or maybe I haven't heard it.
I would think they could, because when you're going to ask for money, if you have some type of success ratio, more than likely...
Have you ever heard that number?
No, I haven't. The only number I ever heard, the most successful program ever for alcoholism is AA.
Yeah,
and that only has 8 or 11% success rate?
Well,
hang on. Who's paying the guy that's keeping those statistics?
That's true, too.
He doesn't have any money.
Right.
Statistics don't lie. Statisticians do.
Well, I was at a conference this weekend, and that's one of the things they were talking about, is AA actually has an extremely good success rate. At the beginning, it had about a 50+%, I think, or 60% success rate. But that was for people who actually... Because at the beginning of AA, they basically, if somebody came to them and says, you want help, if they didn't really want help, they just hit the road.
Yeah.
If you really want to get better, this is what you have to do. And they would sit them down and they'd go through the 12 steps of recovery, and go through them.
It's an interesting, if you've ever gone to a meeting, it really is interesting of how you do it and how it helps people. I've been there for support and help people. I am not an alcoholic.
Right.
A
lot of people.
You look good for an alcoholic. Just saying.
No, a lot of people
be like,
say
wow.
that. Yeah. People say I'm going for other people.
Protest too much.
I think
it's a very good support program. No, it really is a great support program, because you realize you're not alone out there. And a lot of times when you're going through this, it's going to take the self-will to do it. And that's the first thing. And like you said, they've got to want to do it. And when you end up at AA, you want to do it.
Right.
And so if you can go there and support the people who are going through this, and the people who are recovering alcohol or other drug addicted people, that's great, because they need that support. They need that encouragement and assurance that they're doing the right thing.
I think part of the problem with numbers too probably is that it's difficult to know accurately, unless everyone who's ever been through a particular program stays in touch in some way and updates people on how they're doing. It's really hard to know accurate numbers.
It is difficult. I think the state could start getting better numbers. I don't know how this falls into the liberty issue, but if you've got somebody who's arrested, because 80% of the people incarcerated are from drugs or alcohol.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's most of them. I mean, people don't go rob convenience stores to get money for to
buy a new pair of shoes.
To buy a new pair of shoes. Yeah, they get it because they really need some more drugs or whatever. And I think those people, you could find out pretty easily what their probability, how many of them end up back in the system. And if they're back in the system, it's from drugs or alcohol. So whatever program you spent money on for them, well, that's... If that's a recurring thing,
did it go to a good cause or did it not
work? Did the state waste the taxpayers' money or not?
Well, can you say it's wasting if we tried? I guess if you give them a try and it fails, and if they try again and it succeeds, that's good. But if we continue and do the same thing over and over again and they continue to fail, then I would say we need to, at some point, you just got to cut your losses, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if the state was spending money on a cancer treatment that only helped like half of a percent of the people.
But if it was my kid?
If it was your kid, but if it was $1 million a copy, and it was a lot of it going around, you at some point the state has to say, no, that's just not wise use of taxpayer money.
So what do you think is going to happen if we legalize, let's just start with marijuana. Do you think it will lead to more drugs, as which all of the people say?
Murder in the streets, people with Tommy guns.
It'll be a post-apocalyptic hellscape.
Zombies everywhere.
Well, we need more programs for recovery because that's the argument that now more people are going to be smoking pot. And so we're going to need more recovery programs. We're going to need to grow government. What's your thoughts on that?
If you bite a zombie first, do they turn into humans?
That's a good question. I don't watch the zombie
apocalypse. That's really deep, things. Man. I don't
know. And why don't turtles wear human neck sweaters? That's the thing I've been wondering about lately.
That is a lot.
Yeah, I'm missing the turtleneck sweater. I like the tie a little better.
And anyway, what was the question, Pam?
about if we legalize. If we legalize that, because it does kind of meld into other things about legalization, because we're also talking about making casinos come to New Hampshire, and we can have that whole argument of casinos.
Everyone's going to be stoned and out of money. They're going to gamble it all away.
So right, but the question is do we have to grow government with all of these support centers because these people refuse to take responsibility for their actions if they smoke too much or gamble too much?
Well, first of all, smoking too much is a different animal than the heroin epidemic we have.
I know. We'll run out of Oreos at the local convenience store.
I mean,
that stimulates the economy if they sell more Oreos.
Very busy pizza drivers.
Twinkies and stuff like that.
Did you hear about the Girl Scout out in Colorado who sold the most cookies because she
right
put
out
the
in front of
booth?
a
really? Yeah.
That's awesome.
How creative is that?
That's smart. Yeah.
Someone told me about that today. I thought that was pretty wild. Pretty creative.
She was right outside of a treatment center. But I think she got in trouble for it, though.
Probably didn't have a license.
Yeah.
A vendor's license.
Yes, a vendor's license.
Peddler. She was a peddler.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a completely different animal than the heroin stuff. The marijuana legalization, if it goes through, I personally will continue to vote against it until we find out what happens in Colorado.
I am with you. I come from a bedroom community with lots of kids, and I have to vote against it. I have voted for lessening.
I'm not making faces at you.
She was.
You're the one who got defensive.
It's okay.
Somebody knows that she's not doing the right thing. I don't know.
I think they're doing pretty well so far.
But I have to
crime hasn't increased or anything.
Here's the thing.
I don't believe that's true.
As a representative, you do have to. I think everyone should be able to smoke and drink whatever they want. You do have to vote for your constituents to a certain extent because that's who elects you. And if you don't, you're going to get voted out of office.
Well, there's that variable. You also. Pam's got a gooder memory than me, but
a gooder memory.
A gooder memory.
Did you learn that in Common Core?
I'm educated. So anyway, in our Constitution, it basically says that we as legislators are supposed to enact good moral laws.
So what is moral?
Exactly.
Well, does that mean that the law should be moral, or that the law should dictate morality?
No. Well,
that's a good point, Amanda.
Mm-hmm. The law should be of a moral character or moral, I don't know what the right word is, in that its effect should be positive for society. In other words, if you enact a law that is detrimental to society, you're as far as I'm concerned, going against the Constitution.
But I guess
so. If we wait and find out what happens in Colorado, because marijuana is a different type of drug. It's not like the addictive heroin. It's not even as addictive as alcohol. So its probability of destroying or corrupting the society is, to me, less so.
But that's why, if that's an argument, then that's why marijuana should be legal, because the costs of making it illegal are a gigantic problem for society.
Yeah.
We have violence. The Mexican cartels. You have to go to a seasoned criminal to buy something that is about as intoxicating as, I don't know, some alcohol. Maybe to a different tune as far as the experience, but it's still just intoxication.
Right.
Yeah.
At the level of alcohol. I mean, it's nothing. It's not like you're gonna snort a bunch of cocaine and then clean your bathroom floor with a toothbrush.
I mean, I don't think it's moral to be putting people in prison for smoking pot.
I don't think we do. I think typically people are put in prison in New Hampshire for violations of parole, like and things like that. But it's not for the marijuana. I don't know of anybody that goes to prison nowadays for having a joint. I think there's probably people who have violated their parole or in conjunction with charges A, B, C, and D, but not.
Yes, I think in the past 6 years that I've been up there, we've passed a lot of laws for decriminalizing possession.
Yeah, I've voted for that for years as decriminalization.
Yeah. Right.
But I still think as legislators, we have a responsibility to the citizens to do what's right.
Yes.
And finding out how this affects Colorado in just a few years, we should have a reasonable idea how that affects the society. We shouldn't just make things just follow the example of Colorado and then find out 4 years down the road, oh, that was stupid.
Well, I agree with you, and I said the same thing because my 17-year-old daughter has been following the whole marijuana in Colorado, and she's asked me how I voted on this. Obviously, 17-year-olds, they know all about the drug culture probably better than I do.
Right.
And so she's been following it to see what happens. And I said, well, there's other implications. What if a guy goes to work stoned and he's driving a lift truck and impales somebody? Who is responsible at that point? Is the company? Is the individual? I mean, these are things that...
What if he goes to work drunk? What's the
right.
difference?
We gotta outlaw alcohol then too. Let's be consistent.
Right, but we have to think about these things, and because you can test for alcohol. I mean, you can test on the roadside to see if someone's drunk. Do we have the testing? And I don't know this. Do we have the testing to see if you're too stoned to drive?
The war on drugs started based on racism. That was the whole premise.
Yes,
absolutely. The entire thing is completely racist. The what's his name? Harry Anslinger was originally recruited to work in the alcohol prohibition, like a 3-letter word agency.
Yeah.
Literally about 100 years ago. I think this year is about 101 years. And he'd been hired to work in one of the 3-letter agencies that was cracking down on alcohol prohibition. And then when his job went away, he made it his personal mission to make something else illegal so that he could excuse his existence and keep a paycheck. And all of the headlines at the time were very bad words that I would never say, not even on TV, but not even alone in my house, describing people's skin colors and how, a person of this skin color murdered a white woman while he was high on marijuana,
right.
which
is
completely ridiculous. The guy on marijuana ordered a pizza and played PlayStation.
And the whole reason it's called marijuana is they came up with that because they wanted to start calling it something that sounded Mexican.
Oh,
that's where that word came from.
It was anti-Mexican, yes, and it was anti-black, and the whole thing has a racial premise. So you have to question everything that it's grown up to be. If it started out as racist, how is any other argument down the road rational? How could any other argument down the road be factual?
I don't necessarily buy your argument that it was racist as much as whoever is trying to do the propaganda to make it look evil might have used racial overtones because
at the time
such a high percentage of the people who were involved in society or people that vote and everything were probably a huge percentage were racist anyway.
People were more likely to be motivated by their racist views than by health views, like assuming that the health concerns about marijuana are valid, which is there's plenty of studies in either direction, and you got to question who funds which study. Assuming that the health concerns about marijuana are valid, why didn't they make those arguments? Why did they only make racist arguments?
Back then?
100 years ago.
I don't think, back then people were still smoking cigarettes and people were saying it was good for you.
Yeah.
So I don't think they really had the means by which to find out what the medical consequences of.
So then they didn't have a medical argument or a health
concern-based
argument against marijuana. So why did they make it illegal? If they didn't have a health-based argument to make it illegal, and we know that because they didn't make that argument, and also because of the likelihood
back in those days they were doing a lot of things to make a lot of things illegal, including alcohol. And I think it just follows suit. I mean, it's just the Puritan, so to speak, mentality around the country was pretty strong back then. It was women that were the pushers behind getting rid of alcohol or prohibition on alcohol, and it's all part. It was a lot of women's groups that were pushing the prohibition of alcohol, and I think it follows suit with that. But using racist things back then, I don't think it's necessarily. They did that for a lot of things. I mean, if you look at the propaganda about Hitler and stuff like that during World War II, it was almost ridiculous.
He was pretty successful, I'd say.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but I'm just saying that the propaganda we always use is always horrific and stuff like.
And a lot of fear.
It's always fear mongering.
And fast forward now to 2015, and why we're sitting in our committee meeting with vaping, and how dangerous vaping is. Not vampires, not vaping vampires, but vaping is.
What's the word for a woman who's A vamp. That's the word.
Vamping.
We're vamping.
No, we're not vamping.
No.
We're not vamping, but vaping, which is the use of e-cigarettes.
Right.
And it's in the Commerce Committee because they want to have child-proof caps on liquid nicotine, as well as put a commission together to try and see, well, where should we do this in terms of, should it be part of the whole cigarette piece of legislation or laws that we have?
It's a bunch of nanny state crap.
Yeah, there's always nanny state stuff going on.
You should have heard some of the testimony.
The tanning thing was just it was just so ridiculous.
Don't even go with me on the tanning.
I couldn't believe that even passed. Like when you started to describe that on the show, I assumed, well, this didn't pass, and then when I said, so did it pass, and you said yes, I was like, what?
Yeah. So you know what? So my daughter, we'll go back to the vaping thing. But so my daughter, obviously she has her prom coming up. She's 17 years old. So instead of going to a tanning booth, if this was to pass, and getting a controlled tan, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and getting a nice color on her skin.
Right.
So first nice day, she'll go out and sit and get a nice sunburn all over herself, Amanda.
Yeah, I got a sunburn today.
You did?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to legislate that. But
I said we're going to ban them from 2 hours. I think we should just ban kids from the beaches. That's it.
Yeah.
If you're under 18, you can't go to the beach unless you have SB 95 on.
No, I think it's well, actually, what we could just do is what I proposed when I had Marilinda Garcia on last summer after my motorcycle accident. Right?
What was that?
Well, a 17-year-old boy hit me on Elm Street while I was on the motorcycle, right? Mm-hmm. And he's a 17-year-old boy during the summer on Elm Street. I'm pretty sure he's girl watching. So my legislation, if you guys want to support it, is to require all women to wear burqas.
Oh, sure, yeah, especially at the beaches when it's 95 and we have to wear black burqas.
Well, no,
too.
not black. What do you think?
Yeah, you can wear
why was she so mad?
Maybe a tan. Tan would be all right.
Yeah, tan. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
see how that would help everybody.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, that would help us.
Do you voluntarily go on the show a lot?
Actually, yes, Pam. You've been on quite a few times.
I've been on a few times. We
Yeah.
just have fun on it. if we can't laugh at ourselves.
What?
I don't know. Burkas, it makes me really uncomfortable.
It makes you. I would make me uncomfortable too.
Absolutely not.
Call me a feminist.
They're probably itchy
Next time
too.
she's
I'm
gonna show
thinking.
up in a burqa, it's going to make me very uncomfortable.
Probably.
We got to do that next time we show up in burqas.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, we'll go light tan.
Well,
Like
yeah,
can I have polka dots?
But in any case, so
have like
that's
a flower
Can I have one that
pattern.
looks like my face on the front?
I don't think that's a burqa at that point.
Yeah.
Can
Well,
you
you know,
get
like
screen
get it
printed?
Yeah, like with my picture on it, and
I
then
don't know. Can you do that?
I don't know.
Is that
I
still
think
a burqa?
that's like
No.
have your cake and eat it too. You know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think,
Right.
Can you do that? I don't know the rules.
I don't either.
I'm not into
don't
fashion.
either.
I don't know.
I
don't know.
I'm not into fashion either.
Yeah.
No.
Other than shoes, but that's another story. So back to vaping.
Back to vaping. Yes.
So it was interesting that they want to look to somehow regulate it and tax it. And the arguments that came back, which I support, is that why don't we let the individual businesses choose whether or not they want to allow vaping in their restaurants or lounges or wherever. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I have no idea about that stuff. So that stuff, when somebody's sitting there smoking that fake cigarette that makes them look a little bit feminine.
It's not smoking. It's
If you know what I'm
vaping.
saying. So anyway.
You think that looks
Not all
feminine?
of them are cylindrical. Some of them are shaped like boxes. Just, never mind.
She's more the expert on this than I am.
There's several jokes in there that we can't
I'm not going there.
do.
So,
I was just trying to follow your logic.
it's okay. Okay, try again.
Went right over his head.
So when somebody smokes one of those, the vapor that comes out is actually zero. It's nothing. There's no chemicals. There's no.
Yeah, as far as I know, your lungs absorb the nicotine.
It's water vapor.
It's water vapor.
Yeah.
No smoke.
Yeah, because I've seen people smoke it near me, and I don't really smell it.
Yeah.
And I've got asthma, so I've walked outside. I was walking into the State House like a month ago. I had wicked pneumonia. It was killing me, and I walked in back of a guy who was probably from here to the camera away, and he was smoking it, and it caused an asthma attack.
Smoking
That's outside.
Smoking?
What was he
Cigarettes.
smoking? Cigarettes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, obviously I'm not going to say anything because it's, but it's just like.
I actually know a few people that have asthma and smoked cigarettes against their better judgment and switched to electronic cigarettes or vapors, whatever you want, vaporizers, and had improved health as a result.
Yeah. That would have been against their better judgment.
What would have been?
Smoking cigarettes if you have asthma.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah. I know, it's crazy.
I got caught. I probably shouldn't say this on TV, so I will.
Oh, don't.
When I was a teenager, I got caught with a gas mask. Okay? When
How'd you get your hands on that?
Well, it was actually my brother's, but I didn't want to admit that it was my brother's.
From World War I?
No, it was from the Air Force, actually. It was an Air Force gas mask that we had attached to some device. And so the state cop pulls me over and finds it. He says, "Do you smoke marijuana, Mr. Hopper?" "No, I have asthma, so I really don't. I just bought it at a party because it was cool." Then he said, "You know that this is it's a federal offense." I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "This is a U.S. Air Force gas mask. You're in the possession of stolen property."
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Oh, man,
what happened? Did he take it from you?
Yeah, he took it.
You think he took it home and he was like, "Look what I got." So
yeah, look what I got. Yeah. Another souvenir from the day's work. But that was not that I ever got in trouble because I didn't. I was a pretty
right.
Can't imagine.
You were a victim of asset forfeiture, though, in this case.
Yes. Right, my assets got taken.
Yes.
Was it really asset forfeiture? Or
no, because it's my brother's.
Am I being too serious on this show? I think I am.
Stolen property.
What?
Yeah. I don't think that's asset forfeiture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if your accountant would say that stolen property is an asset. Maybe he would, but.
Right. I'd have been worth some money. I mean, you'd have to, you couldn't legally sell it, but if you did, on the black market.
Do a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true. There was no eBay then.
Tanning.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Only if you're under 18.
Oh, yeah. But mentally I am.
Hopefully the Senate will kill that bill.
Hopefully. It hasn't gone, it hasn't passed out of there.
I didn't follow it over.
I don't follow a lot of stuff.
I follow mine over.
Right.
And in my committee bills, I followed a bunch over, but I'm not following that. It's not mine.
Yeah. It's enough stuff to keep track of.
Yeah, just in our own committees.
Something I followed over was the vaping bill.
Yes, back to vaping. She's been following it.
Yes, and how's that doing? How's vaping going?
Well, so maybe I'm naive, but Tuesday I found out that lobbyists lie and manipulate to get what they want. Yeah.
That never happens all the time.
Well, I'm serious. I knew it in theory. I heard.
Yeah.
You hear about this stuff, but I watched it happen
in
Pam's committee yesterday, and I'm still really, emotionally shocked.
Really?
Yeah. So there's R.J. Reynolds was in the room, and I was late to the subcommittee meeting. I wanted to just sit in and maybe bother them a little, and R.J. Reynolds there were two guys sitting there, but for the beginning
the
of
company R.J. Reynolds?
Lobbyists.
The lobbyists for
the cigarette
R.J.
manufacturer. Yeah.
They're in favor
of
the bill
the
because
legislation that would put some regulations on the electronic cigarette.
Yeah, because they want more people to continue to smoke cigarettes.
Well, that's the logic, right? But so I showed up a little late.
Not that they would ever do that, because they didn't do that all the time years ago.
Right. Yeah. So for the first 45 minutes or something of this discussion, I hear these guys chiming in. They have orange lobbyist badges on, and they kept saying, "Well, we represent the industry, and we're in favor of this," and blah, 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 blah.
Oh.
And then at the very end of the subcommittee meeting, just as Pam and the other people are stacking up their piece of paper on the desk getting ready to go, I said, "Excuse me, what company are you with?" And they said, "R.J. Reynolds." And I was like, "You don't represent the industry. You sell cigarettes. You sell what people that use electronic cigarettes stop buying."
Oh, that is so scummy.
And he said, "Well, we sell an electronic cigarette." And I was like, "That doesn't matter." And I said, "That's like Budweiser selling Antabuse and then claiming that they represent the interests of alcohol treatment facilities."
Right,
that's insane. And then of course I made the rounds at the subcommittee members, and I was like, don't listen to them. They're the enemy in the quitting smoking effort. And then it was later that I thought it over and realized what the electronic cigarette that they sell isn't refillable, which also makes it incidentally the least preferable and most expensive type to use. But it's not refillable, which means that the bottles of e-liquid that the legislation seeks to regulate, they don't even sell that. So they showed up at a hearing for a bill that would regulate their competition and then said, we represent the industry and we're in favor of this.
So
well, they didn't say which industry.
Right.
Yeah.
But as a legislator, we have to muddle through all of that and figure out what is best for everybody, because we are commerce and consumer protection. But I agree with Amanda that if you come there, you should represent and say what you're for. And
right.
I was unaware that they did not have liquid nicotine until later that evening.
Well, of course, and that's what they want. They were, in my opinion, they were scamming the committee big time.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, we have all of these Facebooks and all the information right at our fingertips that we can look this stuff up now.
And you got to wonder, if Big Tobacco is in favor of the bill, it must be really bad.
Yeah.
That means that they know that this is going to get people to keep smoking cigarettes.
Right, exactly.
If R.J. Reynolds is willing to spend the money to send somebody there, then probably a
2
bad
guys
idea.
sat there for how long? A couple hours
they
before they got to that bill?
Right, we did it last because
they actually make more than us as legislators?
Really? Hard to believe. I think it makes more than us.
Weird.
They have nicer shoes than I do, that's for sure.
No kidding. Nicer suits
I gotta
than
get a new job then.
Yeah.
I'm going for the shoes.
You're gonna go sell your soul.
I'm gonna sell my soul for new shoes.
No, I had on Judiciary Committee back in 2012, we had a bill kind of jammed through the legislature. We had the lobbyists for the hospitals trying to push this early offer bill. Okay? And it was sold as a way for people who have minor incidences at hospitals, like an operation goes wrong and they have minor complications and they want to sue for $5,000-$10,000.
And the lawyer will take their case.
And the lawyers won't take their case because $5,000 or $10,000, by the time you pay the medical experts to come testify, you've used up all that money. It's not profitable. So they had this early offer bill. And it was supposed to be for those cases where they went in before a judge and a lawyer and they got to hear their case. And it took me a while to understand what was really going on. What was really going on was never for early offer. What was their purpose and the BS that we had to listen to was all about those big cases of $200,000. What they do is somebody has a case where they lose an arm, it's worth a couple $100,000. I don't know what an arm's worth. And the hospital a lawyer comes to a hospital, comes to the person afterwards, says, this is a big mistake, we're really sorry about this. We get this early offer thing where you can just get involved really quickly, get this resolved quickly, and move on with your life. And they sign off. Well, they just signed off. They just lost $150,000 to $200,000 signing their name on that into that system. That's what it was really for, is to try to cut down on those big offers.
What did you do about it when you figured that out?
Nobody. It
was repealed, I think, in the last legislature. I thought we did, and you spoke against. You did give the PI or spoke against it.
Right. We didn't win. We did not win. That was. Again, we have the deal with the Senate where they need money and they need money from the hospitals to get reelected. But that's what that bill was all about to begin with. And I didn't even see it for the first time. That was when a lawyer came in and lied.
No.
I know, really? Because that's when I aggravated Brandon Gaida and Lucy Weber both at the same time. Because that lobbyist came into my committee, and one of the issues was that they could, on early offer, lowball people, and when they rejected the thing, once they were in the system, they were in the system. Once they accepted to partake in the early offer, that was it. Because if you tried to go through a regular legal process, your threshold for getting a settlement just went up substantially to the point where it was almost impossible to win. Wow. And I was afraid they were just going to lowball people And so this guy goes, the lawyer gets up, because I had talked to lobbyists ahead of time, and they knew that was one of my concerns. And the main lawyer for this firm gets up and says, well, I just want people to know there's no early lowball offers in this bill. Within 3 or 4 minutes, he says, and if somebody gets an offer that they don't find is adequate, this is the process they go through to appeal it. He lied.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, later on, somebody asked him a question, and he said, why isn't necessarily the lawyer that's going to be involved in this going to do the right thing? And the guy says, well, lawyers have a certain ethical guideline they have to go by. So when it was my turn to ask a question, I says, I just want, to say that your testimony is rather unique. I don't think I've heard ethics and lawyer in the same sentence before. So Brandon got mad, and Lucy Weber got mad. Everybody was mad at me. Oh, it was wicked funny. They wanted me to apologize.
Well, we do try and have fun up there.
Oh, yes. Hey, so today
we had basically nothing big today.
Nothing big, but there was actually, we overturned a committee report, though.
Yes, we did. The first bill on education.
On education. Commission.
SB 69.
Yep.
I have a bone to pick. Where's the
What do you want?
This didn't make any sense to me.
Why would people pick bones anyway?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to do.
At the beginning of the day was the Senate Bill 101 prohibiting the state from requiring implementation of Common Core standards.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, the Republicans voted for it and the Democrats voted against it.
Right.
And then Senate Bill...
Wait, you're a Democrat. Would you vote?
It's public record. So Senate Bill 195...
Wow.
That's right. It did get roll called.
Let's not get off pace here. So Senate Bill 195 was next, and it said, encouraging instruction in cursive handwriting and memorization of multiplication tables.
Correct.
And the minority report says this bill also suggests that it is appropriate for the legislature to tread on the authority of local school boards to set curriculum. But in that, so if you oppose Common Core, then you would also oppose encouraging instruction in cursive handwriting and memorization of multiplication tables.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
I
with
saw
this
the contradiction.
Bill, it completely flip-flopped, and it seemed like the Republicans voted for it, for state-level control of local schools.
There's many who argued against it.
Right, and then the Democrats voted the other way. So I don't understand. It seemed to me like everyone was just going, well, if he likes it, I don't want any.
Well, no.
Well, that does happen a lot in politics.
That was
rational thinking.
And I agree with you, because I voted against that bill, the second bill you were talking about encouraging.
I like cursive too, yeah. But
I like cursive too. They stopped teaching it to my daughter when she was in 4th grade, and so rather than, and I asked the teacher.
They made me stop cursing in school.
Well,
cursing.
Cursing.
Did you say cursing?
I think the school you went to, though, was very prudish.
Yes,
Yeah.
to make you stop cursing. But so what happened? So just a little background here before we get off on one of your tangents there, Gary.
No, I wouldn't do that.
They're not tangents. They're very interesting
Very
stories.
poignant stories.
Yes.
As this one isn't. So I taught my daughter how to you get this little handbook and you can teach your daughter how to write in cursive, and I did. And so,
Right.
we did a letter a day and practice it. And so rather than just learning to write her name, because they do teach you the basics of how to write a letter,
Yeah.
but she can write and read cursive for the most part. She really can, and she's now in 6th grade. So when I saw this bill come forward, of course, I want cursive. And we obviously hammered the multiplication tables into our kids. That's just something you do as a parent, right?
Right.
When this came forward, it said encouraging. Now, legislation, these are statutes that we're passing here.
Right.
We're passing statutes to say encouraging.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to, but you don't
Right,
have to.
right.
Right, what is this?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like a pointless bill.
Thank you, and that was my point. And that's and so I voted against it. I voted to kill the darn thing. Because I thought that's not what we're up there for. We're not up there to do feel-good things like encouraging.
Well,
and
how
let's
did you
do
vote on
this.
the red-tailed hawk?
That is not public record.
Now we're getting to it.
No, because because that was a division vote.
Oh, okay.
Because everyone wanted to hide when they voted to ITL it.
Oh, okay.
So
then never mind.
I truly believe that we're up there for a reason, and we're going to start filling it up with all of these feel-good bills, such as the encouraging one. I want all that stuff, but that's not how we do it.
Yeah.
What I didn't understand is because on the bill before that, the prohibiting the state
Core.
from requiring implementation of Common Core. I saw the letter from who's the director of the education in New Hampshire, basically telling people that they had to go along with Common Core. And yet the Democrats keep getting up over and over and over again saying that no, it's all voluntary.
Did you see the blurbs
And
on
I don't there's a disconnect there, and I guess I don't understand well enough to know how the woman that's in charge of the state thing can, because I remember researching it enough to find out that she was actually right. She did have the authority to tell everybody to do that.
Well, she has authority, but is that the best thing? If you're a head of a department that big, such as the Department of Education or any department, you got to think about what is best for all people, and is shoving something down your throat like Common Core, I hate to be so blunt about it, is that right for every single school district?
Yeah, but the point is that she had, first of all, it's our mistake as legislators giving her that kind of authority. A statewide assessment or statewide anything should have to go through the legislature, not through some bureaucrat. That's just foolish.
Well, we need to look at what we're doing at the Board of Education.
Yes, and keelhaul a bunch of them.
And charter schools, when we say we're for charter schools, and yet we put people on the Board of Education who are anti-charter schools.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Do what to them?
Keelhaul.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
You don't know what keelhauling is?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, it's when you took, say, a certain individual on a ship was not cooperating.
Yeah.
You would throw them off the bow of the boat and then drag them along the keel. Then, if they survived, you'd pick them back up at the other end.
Oh,
Lord
okay.
Almighty.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't know
I'm
that.
glad I'm not a pirate.
I know, right?
This is not pirates.
That's hardcore.
Arr. That's as close to being a pirate as I get.
So anyway, keelhaul them.
Oh, well, I learned something. I'd
I've
never
never heard
word.
that term either, but I got based upon where he put it in the sentence what he meant.
Yes.
Basically,
It sounded like
take them out
something
behind
bad.
the woodshed.
Yes.
No, woodshed's pretty easy compared to keelhauling.
Evidently it
It
is.
does sound a lot easier, yeah.
Those barnacles don't feel good after the first few feet. Or fathoms, as they say.
Oh, yes.
Yes, fathom. Can you fathom that? Anyway,
I
so...
can't fan him doing that to anyone.
No. Yes, but it should be done. It should be done.
Well, the Common Core.
Well, we didn't really... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The Common Core vote today actually had me thinking. Like I was sitting there thinking, well, if the two people who speak each say completely opposing things, how come that just gets to happen? I know I'm new, and like I said, I was totally shocked when lobbyists showed up and lied to ensure that their company would get more money. But can there not be some rule that's like, well, wait a second. So what you said is the opposite of what you said. So we're going to talk about this till we figure out what the truth is.
We
can have truth
we do
at the
do that.
State
We do
House.
that. Someone will get up and say
Ask
something,
questions.
or ask questions, or say that was factually incorrect. Basically saying you're a liar.
Right.
We do that. It's not so bad when you do it like that. What really, and you're going to find this in the legislators, when people tell you something and they give you your word and then they go back on it and lie to you. That's when it really hurts, is when they stab you in the back, as we call it.
Yeah, that whole lobbyist revelation is probably easy compared to,
getting
somebody-
stabbed.
Oh,
in the back by someone.
it gets a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
I
It does
had
get bad. It
bet
can,
I
which is
had
sad because we're volunteers. You'd think that we'd treat,
Right.
anyhow.
when my second term, I filed a bill of address against Wayne Better, who was the director of Fish and Game. Okay, he was messing around with the women at Fish and Game so badly that they would have to call each other to try to. When one got stuck alone in the same office with them, it was that bad. They were calling,
creepy.
come on, get back. And it was horrible. And there's some other stuff he did. So I had a bill of address, which is like an impeachment. The Friday, I think the Monday before the Friday, I had to sign off. Or it's like just before I had to sign off. Now, remember, I was new, kind of like you. Betsy Miller, who was the legal secretary for the Speaker's office, came up to me alone and said, Gary, I want you to understand, because you're filing a bill of address, it does not have to be signed off by the deadline on Friday because it's constitutionally provided for. And I thought about that. It didn't quite sit well. A, the fact that she told me when I was by myself, and the fact that it just didn't make sense because there's a deadline for a reason. So I emailed her that night and said, Betsy, I had a lot of things going on. Is this true that I can, because I wanted it in writing.
Smart.
Then she emails me back and with some mushy, non-committal bullshit stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Did we bleep that?
And that's the kind of garbage you put up with.
Yeah.
You
But
do.
she absolutely lied to me. She absolutely lied to me so that I would not meet that deadline, so that they could say, oh, then it would have had to. Now I understand how it would have gone. It would have had to go through rules, and who controls the rules committee?
The
The
party
speaker.
in control, right?
Right? And the speaker was friends with Wayne Vedder.
Right. That's how it happens. And just to let you know, Amanda, I was on in my second term, and I was on the House floor. And you can see sometimes there's motions that come up that are unplanned. You know, oh, we're going to do this, and okay, let's recommit. There's a lot of things that happen sometimes right on the House floor, and I wasn't totally up to speed. And someone who's in a very prominent position right now lied to me on the House floor and says, "You got to go up and make this motion." And I didn't know because everything was happening so fast. And I was still fairly new. I was in my second term. And yes, it was a learning curve. So I went up and did it, and it basically stabbed a whole group of people in the back, and I didn't know it.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's got to be a
yeah.
pretty bad
Threw
feeling.
you big time under the bus.
I got thrown so bad on the House floor, thrown under the bus by someone of my own party who was supposed to be working with me and helping me. And ever since then, you just like, why do you do this? I mean, you're just trying to do the best thing. So you get a couple scars.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to try to not be a jerk.
Just be honest. Just all you have to do is just be honest with people. And if you can't vote for the bill, I got to say one of my favorite or worst times is one of my favorite reps, I should say, is J.R. Holt. Do you know who he is? He's up in Dunbarton. And he came to me, and it was a big vote on a CACR, and he told me he was going to vote for it. And it's a roll call now, and everyone's getting down to it. He goes, Pam, it's right before the roll call. He goes, I can't vote for that. It's like the last minute, but at least he had the courtesy to tell me to my face that he could not support
That he changed his mind.
And that's fine. I appreciate that rather than looking at the roll call and seeing, don't lie to me.
Yeah.
And you appreciate that much more, and you respect people, even though I, at that moment, wanted to throttle him and take him out behind the woodshed.
Yeah.
I didn't want to whatever.
Keel haul.
I didn't want to keel haul.
Right.
Just a woodshed would have
Just a
been
woodshed.
good. But you learn to respect people, even though you don't agree with them.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to end soon, but I was recollecting another story.
Oh no, is this old times again? Way
No,
back!
This was so much fun.
Back when we rode our dinosaurs to the State House.
Ooh, ouch! Ooh, talk about stabbing people.
I know.
He's been there longer than I have.
Yeah.
It was fun. Where did you park him, though?
Right?
You know Heather from the LOB, right?
Upstairs, who got put in the little room from the big room that she was
Right.
in, yeah.
I didn't know she got moved, no.
Oh, yeah, they moved her across all of this tiny little room with windows that are down here instead of the nice
That's
big...
ridiculous.
Tell me about it. Anyhow.
Anyways, she's a really nice lady.
Yes.
She was secretary for Fish and Game when I first started, and she was talking to Lucy Weber. And I came in, and I was trying to be polite because I needed to ask her a question, but they were talking about hotels. And they were talking, and Lucy was saying about how she likes, when she goes up north, she likes to stay at the nicer hotels because she knows everything's clean, that they've taken the time to clean the room and stuff like that. And this is the focus of their conversation. So I said, well, a lot of times when I go up north, I'm on my motorcycle, and I don't know if you know what that's like, but sometimes you just need to rest your eyes for a little while. And so I usually look for rooms that rent by the hour. And Lucy Weber got so disgusted, she had to walk out. It was beautiful.
She didn't get it.
She got it. She was offended, but she got it.
Oh, boy. That's pretty good.
Oh, I love offending people.
Oh, the pranks we play on people.
Yes, yes. Amanda, you're delightful. Thank you for coming.
I'm delightful.
Yes, you're delightful. You're one of those Democrats that I like.
Thank you for coming on last minute.
Yeah, that's
I really do appreciate that.
And Pam, as always, you're awesome.
Thank you.
And Matt, we'll see you next week, buddy.
Yes. Unless something happens.
Unless
I could
something
be abducted by aliens.
Aliens are always abducting Matt.
It's a crazy universe.